There we go. Hi guys, this is Connie. I'm here with Connie Reads Max the Mighty. It's Friday right now and I don't have any more of these in my repertoire, so I'm going to have to start reading. Starting with today, chapter 13. There's a sucker born every minute. There's a place in Indiana where the cornfields look like a big green ocean. Everything is pretty flat except for these low rolling hills. And when we come over the top, you can see just about forever. All there is to see are miles and miles of green corn stalks, millions and millions of them. You can see the wind moving through the corn from miles away, and it looks like waves rolling in from far out at sea. Dip lets down the windows and you can hear the air moving through the fields. This soft sighing noise, like when you put a shell to your ear and hear the ocean. Only it doesn't sound like an ocean to Dip. He says it's the cheering noise from halfway around the world of all those people who love to eat corn on the cob. They're cheering from Maine to Texas. Can't you hear them? He says, cupping a hand to his big floppy ear. They're cheering in Tokyo and Timbuktu. I don't believe a word of it, but Dip swears Timbuktu is a real place. And there's nothing much there, which is why they joke about it. Of course, it isn't all corn in Indiana. They grow some people too. And every once in a while, a little town springs up out of nowhere, like it crash-landed from a tornado in The Wizard of Oz. Usually there's just one street with old wooden buildings that look like cowboys should be inside, except it's mostly these farmer guys buying hardware and tractors and stuff. Guys who look like they don't mind getting dirty and sweaty. In fact, they prefer it. Guys who, when they get a load of the prairie schooner chugging down the street, they think it's some kind of joke. And if they think the painted up bus is strange, the funny old dude like the Dippy Hippie with his long hair and his Hawaiian shirt, he really makes an impression on a town full of Indiana farmers. Howdy doody, he says to everybody when we stop to get gas or whatever, and people look at him like he just stepped out of an alien spacecraft. Mostly they nod hello and then hurry away. Dip could care less what people think. He says after 30 years as a school teacher, he's going to play hooky whenever he feels like it. I'm a free bird. I'm free as a bird, he says. But that doesn't mean I want to fly with the rest of the flock, if you know what I mean. I don't know what playing hooky has to do with a bunch of birds. I guess it all really means is Dip is kind of different, and he likes being that way. Anyhow, one time, we come in off the highway to get gas at this place, and the bus won't start. That poor old motor keeps grinding and grinding, and it coughs a little, but it just won't go. Minor malfunction, Dip says. Nothing to it. And he gets out his toolkit, and he opens the hood and starts messing around under there like there's nothing else he'd rather be doing. Frank and Joni get out of the bus and watch Dip for a while, but you can see they think it's kind of boring, working on an old motor, and they'd rather be doing something important, like raising money for orphans or whatever. Even a little one-horse town like this has opportunity, Frank says. He's squinting into the sun and studying the buildings on the main street like there's something hidden there. If he can only find it. Forget it, Joni says, looking around and yawning. There's nothing here for us, just dirt and corn and farmers. Then I shall plant a seed, he says. Come along, children, make yourselves useful. The way he marches off, it's hard not to follow. Worm nudges me and whispers, You notice something? Mr. Wonderful isn't limping anymore. She's right. Frank has gotten better all of a sudden. The ankle that got hurt so bad when he fought the robbers must have been healed overnight, because he's walking along like he hasn't got a care in the world. A mom and pop deal, he says. This should be perfect. Don't be stupid, Joni says, hanging back. What he calls a mom and pop deal is really a small store with a bunch of dusty cans on the shelf and a little old bald guy behind the counter watching game shows on his portable TV. Frank marches right in and says, How's it going, Pops? Then he takes a newspaper off the rack and tucks it under his arm and goes, Where's the tuna fish? The old guy points, and Frank cuts down the aisle like he's heading for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Me and Worm and Joni can't keep up with him, he's moving so fast. We were turning the corner of the aisle when we hear this tremendous crashing noise. Wham, bam, crash, bing, bang! as just about every can of food in the place goes smashing to the floor. "Help!" Frank groans out. "Help!" When we get there, he's buried under all these cans and loaves of bread and stuff. You can tell right away he's been hurt bad by the way his eyes are rolling back and his mouth is hanging open like he can't get enough air. "Slipped on something," he groans. "Oh, God, I think I busted my ankle." The old guy from behind the counter is all flustered and apologizing and saying how he'll have to call an ambulance. The nearest hospital is 50 miles away. But Frank groans some more and says a hospital won't be necessary. "Maybe it ain't really broke," he says. "Probably I just sprained it bad. I'll be fine." The old guy is fussing over him and saying how sorry he is and how maybe Frank should at least see a doctor and get the ankle checked out. "I'll be okay once I get my breath back," Frank says. But when he tries to rock around, he almost falls down, it hurts so much. Joni has to hold up one side of him while I grab the other. "Haven't got time for broken ankles," he says. "We have to be in California in 3 days. Isn't that right, kids?" He's talking to me and the worm like we're his kids. But I don't know what to say, so I just nod. The store guy looks pretty worried, as you can tell. He's a nice enough dude, even if he's an old geezer. Joni, she's busy whispering to Frank out loud enough so you can hear her. "How can we buy groceries if we have to pay for fixing your ankle?" she says. Frank shushes her. He's acting brave and heroic, like he doesn't want the old geezer to know how poor he is, or how he and Joni got robbed of every earthly possession. "We'll make it somehow," he whispers real loud. "It's only 3 days to California. We'll eat when we get there." The old guy hears that and gets a funny look on his face, like he's thinking hard. I'm worried maybe he's going to call the cops, but instead he feels a couple of bags with groceries. Not just cheap stuff either, but lots of sliced meats and cheese from the cooler, and cans of tuna, and candy bars for me and Worm. "This'll get you where you're going," he says, shoving the bags into my arms. "I hope your father has better luck in California. It can't be easy for him not having enough money to buy food. A man'll do just about anything to put food on the table for his wife and kids, I reckon." I'm about to tell the old guy that Frank isn't my father and that we're not his children and nobody is hungry, but he feels so good about giving us the groceries, I decide to keep my trap shut. Out on the street, Frank waits until we're clear of the store, then he hands me and Worm a chocolate bar. "Good job," he says. "You've got possibilities. Both of you." Worm won't take the candy, but I figure a little chocolate won't hurt me. You can tell Joni isn't too impressed with Frank. "That was just plain stupid," she tells him. "You took a risk, and for what, a few slices of bologna?" But Frank is strutting along like he's the king of the world. That ankle healed really quick this time. When he hears Joni complaining, he just grins and shakes his head. "You're missing the point, sweetie buns." "Yeah, what's the point?" "There's a sucker born every minute. Right, Max?" Frank has this look, like he thinks I'm in on the joke. But really, I'm thinking he's right. There is a sucker born every minute. And I'm one of them. That's chapter 13. I'll see you next time for Connie Reads Max the Mighty. Bye.